What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, people? You know what time it is. This is another edition of the Bird Cages on the Perch. We have a special guest for you tonight. A man by the name of Mr. Eric Curry is going to be stopping through. Also, we're going to talk a little Falcon football before we get him into the cage or whatnot. But definitely got a jam-packed show for you guys. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it. We got you covered. So sit back, relax, don't touch that dial.
Okay, y'all, this is it.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on the way in. We got you covered. The man that's going to be helping me run this interview tonight, we got the infamous Gray Beard in the building. What's going on, Gray?
What's going on? How everybody doing?
Man, you know it's a good day when you can bring in a former national champ on into the show and former first round draft pick. It's a beautiful day. But before we get that started, man, you know, right now we're just waiting on him to get to the cage and whatnot. He's definitely floating right now. But while we're talking about it, let's talk a little Falcon football before we get to Mr. Eric Curry. You're seeing a lot of the things that are going on with the interviews from the Legends podcast, as they would call it, from Julio Jones, Roddy White, and also HD. Here's the question I got for you is, how do you feel about the situations that have been starting? You're seeing snippets of it, but it's not all the way there yet. How do you feel about the situations that are being uncovered at this point?
Kind of shocking, especially what Julio said about in the Cooper Bowl, how he only had 4 catches in that game, which was ridiculous, which is utterly ridiculous. I don't know if Shanahan was overthinking it or pretty much Bill was like, look, man, Julio ain't gonna kill it. So I mean, I can always look at it from objective point of view, but after he made that spectacular catch, man, in that Super Bowl, he left everything out there on that field. So I think this is only gonna be just the beginning of everything that happened in his tenure. I mean, Harry Douglas might open up a little bit. You already know what Hollywood gonna give you. So yeah, just get your popcorn ready.
Man, when you sit back and look at it from Julio Jones' standpoint, and then you look at Roddy White and these guys, the first domino effect to fall was you're icing out Roddy White. That was the most unthinkable thing that you could do coming into this situation when this man was really Mr. Reliable for the Falcons and is one of the top players in this franchise, and you just you just pretty much put him aside like a piece of trash. Like how?
I think that was a ripple ever since Kyle got in the building. So I think he brought in Hankerkin.
Yeah,
Then
Leonard Hankerson was the guy
and
that they brought in,
and then he was
and
supposed to be the Ronnie White replacement, and you see how that didn't work. So Taylor Gabriel, another guy that he brought in, was effective, but then I think they tried to center it around Julio being the number one. Pretty much, that's what that was.
when you look at it, and and it's ironic that we're going to have an Alabama legend into the building, and with the Falcons, you had an Alabama legend in Julio Jones that was drafted first overall. So this is something that these two guys are sharing. So I gotta make sure I put the Bama ties out here for the
Uh,
folks that are Alabama fans. We're not Alabama fans, but we're Falcon fans. So it is what it is. I gotta throw the shot. We coming this year, and we got something for them this year when they come between them hedges.
man, did
But
you see that Kirby? And well, Kirby
let
was
it
like, yeah,
go.
Kirby said,
I already know where you're going with that. Let it go. We'll talk to Mr. Curry about that when he pops in. But getting back to the Falcons, when you really look at it, it was horrible to see that now that you're seeing that stuff is being revealed and people are starting to know the truth. Like we knew the obvious, but when you hear a guy saying, "Well, Roddy, you're not my first. Julio's gonna be my first. Hankerson's gonna be my second. Then Jacob Tammy is my third. Devontae Freeman's my fourth." And so on. And you really want to use this man as a last object. And I fought Dan Quinn for not putting his foot down and really, hey man, this dude been here. This dude got equity. You can't just toss him aside like that.
but at the
And
same, but I was just going to not to cut you off, but at the same time, you knew Dan Quinn was the first year head coach. So I know what you're getting at, but you already know he was going to pretty much look. I got my faith and trust in my offensive coordinator. That's why I brought him here. I'm not going politics. We understand that football is politics. So you already know how that was going to roll.
but here's the problem when you talk about the politics with the game. And the one thing that you can say is sometimes talent does not always play out. It
No,
doesn't always play out. Even when you have a guy that is the leading receiver in your franchise's history and really doing things. Julio got the numbers for yards. He's got that. Touchdowns, Roddy White has that.
yeah,
So when you look at it, it's both yin and yang. Roddy was still in the prime of his career when he was iced out. He was not on the decline. That was just a personal issue.
I don't
So
know.
when you look at the personal issues that come along with it, it's like, well, what the hell? Like
Oh,
it really shows the arrogance of a coach.
oh yeah, but he can Shanahan. Shanahan are arrogant. No, I
Well,
mean,
well, here's the thing. The dad was humble enough to understand he had to use his pieces that were there. He
right,
understood that.
but Kyle was like, look, I can not only am I going to be on tier with my father, I'm going to be better than my father. And you already know how that goes. So I
Well,
just think I wouldn't necessarily think he was trying to be like incredibly arrogant, but he wanted to make sure that he pretty much was his own man to say the least. But
I
at
can
the same time,
definitely see that.
but at the same time, you pretty much iced out one of our greatest wide receivers in our franchise history. Now, just think if we would have just kept riding with that 2016 team, how more prolific the offense could have been, even though it was already one of the eighth greatest offense in NFL history. So I'm
Hmm.
like, it pretty much like you couldn't have doubled Julio. You
I
could.
think
It
it
would.
would have been, and this is just me. I think it would have been one of those situations where you step in and you look back and just say, "Well, damn, what can you do? What can you do to make this team better?" Because I'll be honest with you, yes, the system was beautiful. It ran like a Cadillac, like a fresh Cadillac
Oh yeah.
off the lot. And and then no disrespect to Muhammad Sanu because Sanu came in here and he was Agent 12 was a hell of a player. You can't take
Agent,
that away from him either. But
Agent 12 did justice.
Agent 12 did his thing. I will never have a bad thing to ever say about Muhammad Sanu. However, I will say this. If I got to take Roddy White over Sanu, I'm taking that all day because we already knew what was what. My thing was why the hell couldn't you just let this man just ride his career out here? And then on top of that, you tried to trade him to Tampa out of all
Yeah.
places.
Oh my God.
And you
I
forced
mean,
the man to say, you know what, the hell with it. I'm just gonna retire. Y'all not gonna force me into that situation or whatnot. You know what I mean?
right. Like I said, man. You know how ego be in the NFL, man.
So what we're gonna do right now, because Mr. Curry said he's still having some things he's handling right now. He'll be in another 10 minutes. I'm gonna open this thing up to some of the fans or whatnot, and I'm gonna bring them in, and I want them to talk a little bit about this too. Outside of this situation, let's talk a little bit about what's going on right now with the other half of that situation when they talked about the Super Bowl, when Julio said all you had to do is run the ball. That was JV. He had only 4 catches in that game, 4 touches in that game, and Devontae Freeman was eating it. You took the ball out of his hand. Makes
And
no sense at all.
he had one of the most important catches in that whole game.
And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you've noticed, there's a new little feature with StreamYard or whatnot. We're able to see your comments throughout the show or whatnot. So we'll leave that on so we can see your comments and different things of that sort. During the interview, we probably won't have those comments just streaming up because we want to pay the respect to Mr. Curry once he gets here. But man, I really feel that this team, we all know we were hosed out of a Super Bowl, but the
Of
sad
course.
irony of this thing, Shanahan was screwed. He screwed the 49ers out of two guaranteed championships.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
He should have had 3 rings. One as a coach, one as an OP, and 2 as a head coach.
Exactly. So when you look at it, it's been horrible to talk about the history of Mike Shanahan, of Kyle Shanahan, from transitioning from OC to coach. And think about it. His dad had a stint as a head coach with the Raiders before he ended up going back to the 49ers being an OC. His dad had a couple of rings as an assistant coach first, and then he ended up getting his own 2 rings with the Denver Broncos at that time.
Right.
So my thing is, Shanahan, I feel like this. Kyle was born on third base.
Yeah.
The best way to describe it is, yeah, he had to work, but let's be honest. He didn't have to get it out the mud like that.
His last name was Shanahan.
He didn't have to. The last name carried a hell of a lot of weight.
Oh, it did. It did.
But
You should be amazed how you can get anywhere in this business if your last name had some weight to it. And his name definitely had weight to it.
And that's the thing that I'll never understand when you sit back and you talk about how things are going at this point. And it's just one of those things. And all you can do is just sit back and just shake your head and just laugh at this point.
I got a question. How did
What's
you feel about Julio talk about Dan Quinn and how he was one of the people that were fighting for Dan Quinn, and he was pretty much saying the reason why we are in any predicament. It wasn't really much about coaching. It was about players.
Well, you got to remember this too. Dan Quinn was a guy that is a player's coach.
Right.
That's just what that is. He's a player's coach. And let's be honest, he gave Julio a hell of a lot of leeway. That's no secret. That is no secret.
Got him paid too.
And my thing is this: why wouldn't you want to keep the guy there that lets you do what the hell you want to do and get away with it? And I'm not an Arthur Smith fan, but let's be honest. Julio didn't like the fact that they got Dan Quinn was fired. But let's be honest, the reason he was fired, that championship. If he wins that, he's still in Atlanta coaching right now.
Yeah. Arthur
no
Smith
ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like
Arthur Smith would have extended him right then and there.
Arthur Blank.
Arthur Blank. Arthur Blank would have extended him.
And when you look at how everything went down, it was a mess. It was an awful mess. And again, Julio had his problems with Arthur Smith because he felt like Arthur didn't have enough clout to actually come at him. But I mean, hey, Dan Quinn was a first-time head coach. Arthur Smith was a first-time head coach. Arthur didn't have a ring. Dan had a Super Bowl ring from when he was with the Seahawks, and had 2 NFC championship rings with the Seahawks, being a defensive coordinator. Now we're seeing the results of that team that was in Washington that went to the NFC Championship game.
Learn from a mistake. I tell you that much.
Well, apparently you did. I think it would be the sweet irony for us to be in a situation to where we would face those guys in the NFC Championship game.
Cause they ain't going nowhere, man.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a few teams that I would love to face, and I know you go. And I want your opinion on this. And how do you feel about it? I wouldn't mind facing the Washington Commanders for the NFC Championship because of Dan Quinn losing that Super Bowl. The 49ers with Kyle Shanahan. And then the third team, I wouldn't mind facing the New Orleans Saints, the Bagheads.
I mean, we're going to face them regardless.
But to face them in the NFC Championship game to get to a Super Bowl and possibly get one, do you know what bragging rights that would be?
Yeah.
We still hold a playoff win over them. We haven't seen them in the playoffs since that Too Legit the Quick crew in 91.
Right. I wouldn't mind taking Detroit in the playoff. I want to really test our metal against Detroit, especially when they lost their OP and their defensive coordinator in the same year. Trying to see where they head at.
True. I can see where you would go with that. That definitely is something that I would look at from a different perspective when it comes to that. The other thing I look at
Green Bay team too.
So here's my question. Julio let that guy do. Julio pretty much stood up for Dan Quinn or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And when you look at it, before Dan Quinn got there, he had Mike Smith. He had Smitty in his early stages of his career.
Drafted him.
And Smitty, I think, and to me, I feel like Smitty will always be one of the best coaches we ever had in this franchise. Always.
Oh yeah.
The problem was we just couldn't get over the hump. Could you imagine Smitty's defense with a Kyle Shanahan offense?
It would. We wouldn't want back-to-back Super Bowl. I'm calling.
I agree. But looking at it from a standpoint, it's so many things that go into that. And then, like with our guest that's going to be coming on in a few minutes, you got Mr. Curry. You look at his situation, and we're not going to spoil it for folks, but he played for an AFC team that went to AFC Championship games and just couldn't get over the hump. So he would understand what that feels like, and he could actually talk about how that is when he gets on. And that's one of those guys that you just sit back and you just say, good Lord, this man had a situation to where he came into the league, played with a couple of Hall of Famers, and then goes to another team and then has a chance to make some stuff happen. So his career has been successful even back in his younger days.
Yeah.
And you just look at some of the athletes that he's played with coming from the area that he's from. And it's just amazing that when you look how parallel sports are, it just seems as if some guys just fall into the right places at the right time.
It always be that way too. I mean, you can go back and look at I'll take Saquon for example. Nobody thought the Eagles were gonna be that good of a team and that prolific, and he just fell into there, and they was just off to the race. Even though they had an ugly loss against Tampa, but after that, man, they were kicking people teeth in. And then the way he ran, and the way he was showing up his value, I knew the GM for the Giants was like.
I was gonna say you could just give me a thumbs up when you're ready, because I was gonna say we got Mr. Curry in the building and whatnot. Just wait for him to get some stuff situated. He just got to give me a thumbs up when he's ready, and we'll bring him into the cage, man, for everybody to get to see a living legend, SEC legend at that. And before we bring him in, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. On behalf of the Birdcage, I'm never gonna be a Roll Tide fan, because guess what? I'm all dog, baby. But it's two players that deserve to be in the College Football Hall of Fame.
Right.
Mr. Eric Curry deserves to be in that Hall of Fame, and Mr. John Copeland, his partner. Because when you talk about These guys stepped in after Cornelius Bennett and Derek Thomas left Alabama to go pursue the NFL and be the great linebackers they were. They were two bookends.
Yeah,
Two
they were
bookends
they were
who
called the
did the damn
bookend.
thing.
They were
So
called.
college football, I'm just gonna be honest with you. That right there needs to be handled. You know what I'm saying? We already know that Nick Saban is tied into Alabama. Hey, coach, do the right thing. Do the right thing and use your damn weight to help these guys get in there because guess what? They literally led that team to get to the championship. We understand that Antonio Langham played for you in Cleveland when you were a defensive coordinator. You also coached my guy and one of my friends and mentors, Coach Anthony Blaylock, who played for the Cleveland Browns as well, who Langham pretty much ended up replacing at that point. So look, no disrespect to Mr. Langham. He had a very good career in the NFL, great college career, but do the right thing. You already put the guy who caught the interception in that NCC championship game into the hall. Put these two gentlemen in the hall because let's be 100. Without those two giving pressure and putting foots to ass to Shane Matthews, let's be real. That man wouldn't have got that interception. That
No.
pressure threw everything off. Go back and look at that night. Go back and look at that first SEC championship game, and you look at the impact that those guys had. So do the right thing and put those guys in. And without further ado, welcoming to the birdcage for the first time he's stepping in here. We have Mr. Eric Curry, former national champion, former first round pick, Thomasville, Georgia Bulldog, legendary football player that we should have never let get out the state. So, but guess what? We still gonna give him his flowers because he's a Georgia boy. Welcome to the cage, Mr. Curry. How you doing, sir?
How you doing, Mr. Curry?
Doing great, doing great. What about yourself?
Hey
Doing
man, we
well.
loving life. We love the fact that you're here with us.
Hey, how's that? Is that too much noise in the background?
No, it's perfect. We hear you perfectly.
Okay, okay.
So how you doing this evening, sir? Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us tonight.
Oh yeah, my privilege, man, and just enjoying a little time off here to get inside of the bird cage. You guys
Hey,
do a fabulous job, man.
thank
So
you.
proud of your set, brother.
Thank you. So this is the interview process we call on the perch or whatnot. Definitely, we've had Big Lincoln Kennedy on the perch or whatnot. Like he always say, he said y'all had a big. He said y'all got to have a big ass perch for me to sit on. So you know anybody else who come after me or whatnot, they definitely will be able to fit. Because Link was a big 300-pounder.
Oh yeah, he
Oh yeah,
was. Oh
big
yeah.
big guy right there. My
I
man.
know him. I know him personally, Mr. Curry. Got to meet him when I was in the service still, and you know, definitely a good friend, and definitely enjoyed having him on. And you know, he actually mentioned your name off the record. He said, he said that Eric Curry was hell to deal with at one point.
Oh yeah. He was definitely that too.
Oh yeah.
I
So
feel the
tell us
same
a
way
little bit
about him.
about yourself. You're from Thomasville, Georgia, a home of a hotbed of football that comes out of there, just legendary players. And tell us a little bit about it. The area you grew up in, what was your high school experience like, and just growing up in our legendary Falcon, William Andrews' town, and you grew up with another legend that you played against all your life. Tell the folks about it.
Oh well, definitely a lot of players that I played with there in Thomasville. A lot of household names. Starting with the great William Andrews, Guy McIntyre, Sean Jones, Mike Jones, and then of course we have Child Award, the Heisman Trophy uh, winner, and all world in basketball and football with Florida State. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it was always a competitive field for us, no matter what the situation may have been with playing against Charlie, whether it was Pop Warner, whether it was high school or middle school. It was a total playing field with him. Like I was mentioned to you on yesterday, man, this guy was like Houdini on the football field. He was like magic, and he was definitely well respected. And not to give anything away, take anything away from our quarterback, who was at the time was Sean Jones. He won a national championship, coach national championship with Georgia Tech, and we definitely had our battles, and we were battle tested every single year with Charlie Ward and the crew, and we were always very I won't say we were dirty. We were good friends off the field, but on the field, you know how it is. We were scratching and clawing.
You get it, hey man. That's the trenches. You got to get it how you live.
Oh yeah, it was a big rivalry too, man. It was like an Auburn Alabama rivalry, and it's still that type of rivalry there today. I don't know if it's as deep as it was then, but it was a crosstown rivalry, and we couldn't stand them, and they couldn't stand us.
Mm.
And so we call them the crosstown country boys.
Oh man, come on.
But those crosstown country boys, man, when they came ready to play, it was time to play, man, and we had to buckle up and we had to definitely put our best foot forward. Coaches had to be ready, players had to be ready, preparation, and so it lingered on, and that's why there was a lot of players out of that particular region right there that played Division I football, including other players like Eddie Coleman and just to say a few other names, that he was one of my best friends in high school. So, we had a ball with it. I wish we could have won a state championship, but we didn't because of who? Charlie Ward and the crew.
Oh, and when you talk about it, you didn't go to University of Georgia. We missed out on you. It sucks, but you were a Bulldog at least once in your life in high school, so we'll take that. And here's the crazy part, Gray. You know who else went to Thomasville High School? Mike Bobo, our offensive coordinator, who we all give grief to. We still giving that boy grief. But but that's one of their alum right there. So shout out to Coach Bobo, man. Get it right this year. You on thin ice with me, sir.
Man, let me tell you something. People, you saying Mike Bobo of the
Georgia Bulldogs, yes, sir.
Let me tell you something, man. Mike Bobo was our ball boy.
What?
Yeah,
his dad coached there.
His dad coached there. Yep. And he grew up in the ranks, and he used to throw the ball back and forth to us and give us our water and everything. And he was trained up very well with his dad. He was tough and hard nosed like his dad was, and and he became. It kind of surprised me when he came up and became the starter for Georgia. I was like, what? I didn't know he had an arm like that. I didn't know he was built up that kind of way, But and it's turning out to be a great outcome for him. Whether it was coaching or playing, Mike had great success.
We just need him to get over this hump of Alabama because y'all have given him hell every time he's played y'all in big games. So we need Coach Bobo to step up and do his thing because, again, that Alabama Crimson Tide has been a thorn in our side for years. Speaking of that, shout out to the House of Crimson. That's my rival recruit that I argue and debate with on Twitter or whatnot, better known as X now. So I wanted to make sure that I gave him a shout out and shout out to my former shipmate, Mr. Gino Carter, Alabama fan. We went back and forth while we were underway. And, he had more bragging rights than I did. So I had to humble myself a little bit. But I still talked a little trash, though. But,
yeah,
I had to humble it. But what was the process for you with being recruited coming out of high school? And what made you choose Alabama?
Well, it was a big. I never. Some people some people that's their goal, that's their mission is to come out and play Division I football and to be a 4-star, 5-star player. But we didn't have no 4-star, 5-star player back then. It was just you just was a good player. You just you were somebody that was a high end player. You had high end potential, and so when things started swirling around me, and my coach pulled me to the side, told me I had some teams looking at me. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. I was like, well, I don't think I'm gonna say deserving of it, but I ain't think I was looking at me. I just love playing the game and I love hitting people, and I really love hitting people, and and so I got my respects, by going up against a lot of the veteran players, and they stepped me underneath the tree quite a bit a few times. But I was the one that go from sideline to sideline making plays, and I would go snatch them down, and so I guess I took notice of it because Alfonso Ellis, who played for, he passed on. Played for Georgia. He was our Herschel Walker, and
Wow.
and you had like a lot of teams coming there checking him out and checking Sean Jones out and Mike Jones out, and so that brought along a lot of flock of college teams coming there um, to see other talent that was there besides Alfonso and other things. So Michigan, Penn State, you name them all, USC, uh, Alabama, Auburn. But just so happened, I never thought they was coming to see me, and so my coach pulled him to the side and said, look at all these pamphlets and all these envelopes. And I said, okay, coach, I believe you. And then he said, well, look at this corner over here. He said, this corner is the biggest corner I've seen in a long time. He said, those are all from Alabama. And of course, Auburn and Florida State and a few other teams. And so Alabama, a lot of the coaches that were recruiting at the time were coming there quite a bit. And you had the legendary coach from Auburn. He would come there and so forth, so on. And I just like when I went on my visit to Alabama, I just got caught up in the history part of it and the legacy of it with Derek Thomas and Cornelius Bennett. Hell, I wanted to be a superstar and a defensive player, just like those guys. I wanted to make plays and become a household name and do my thing too. So I kind of want to follow in those footsteps, and that's what I did. I definitely had a chance to go and be recruited by Georgia and Coach Bobby Bound, and the coach for Georgia was you mentioned his name yesterday. What was his name?
You had Ray Goff at the
Yep.
time
Ray Goff.
because Vince
Mr. Ray
Dooley had
Goff.
retired at that time.
Yep. Before we got
I was like almost there with both of those teams, but I just didn't find that chemistry, that bond that I found at Alabama, and thank God I chose to go to Alabama and work my way through it and become a horseman there, and things turned out the way they did, man, and win the national championship and different accolades, and developing friendships. And it just turned out great for me.
oh yeah.
Ray, go ahead. You got it.
Uh, then you made it to Bam. You made it to Alabama, Kerr. You went on to win one of the SEC championship games, and then you and your partner in crime, Mr. Copeland, man, y'all went and just absolutely destroyed Miami. And
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I think it was like what 34-13 or something like that. It pretty much wasn't even close. To say the least. How was your first year at Alabama, and what was
Say
it
it,
like playing?
say it one more
I
time.
I was saying, how was your freshman year there at Alabama, and how was it? What would the appearance like playing under I think our head coach was Gene Stalling?
The first year,
Yeah, her.
No, they had
the
Bill
first year
Curry.
was Bill Curry.
Bill Curry. I'm sorry, Bill Curry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How was your freshman year playing under
Uh,
Bill Curry?
very stringent. Very. It was a hard line. It was a hard line. He had zero tolerance for unnecessary things, for silliness, and he wanted you to be a man about your business. Uh, you know that was well. He came from a background like that. With Green Bay,
Yeah,
being
her.
up under that coach. Uh, Other teams, I forgot the other teams he played for, but it was a strict. It was a strict outline. And as I was telling my man on yesterday, I was like, we had 32 periods, man, just giving it your all and just balling out and just practicing and running and three a days and being in full pads and
Mm.
I was like, man, I'm ready to go home.
I'm 3 days,
I don't
boy.
know. I don't know if we're gonna make this journey here, brother, but I just put my head back and just realized I was like, I'm not gonna make a fool of myself and go and and do what people are expecting is come home and don't make it and they talk about you.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And I
her.
didn't want to be talked about. I didn't want nobody to say you know what could have happened and what should have happened, and he wasn't gonna make it in the first place. Coming from a small town like Thomasville, you weren't
Mm-hmm.
gonna. No, that was not gonna be my path and my journey. So
Yeah, her.
it was rough times, and but it definitely paid off for me, because I worked my ass off. Oh yeah, and so it paid off dividends for me, and things led to one to another.
So this is what we do for everybody. Like I said, we waited till you got in here. I wanted to make sure that I put this up. This will probably be. I did this for Mr. Stevenson. I said, paying me to do it, but you know what? I always love to show respect. This will probably be the only time you ever see anything Crimson dealing with me. So I
Uh,
got you. I got your picture that I made as a background. I got it as the setup tonight, just to pay homage to you tonight, sir.
I
So just wanted to
appreciate
make
that.
sure. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Wanted
Yes,
to
sir.
make sure. Wanted to make sure I put that out there. So the House of Crimson, y'all can kick rocks and go to hell. So I'm telling you that now. I
yeah,
said it and I stand
yeah.
on it. I
Stand
still
on
I
it
still
now.
got love for y'all, but we got to keep the trash talking right though. But we've been kind of going at it back and forth. But getting back to you, Mr. Curry, when you look at the transition that you made with having Bill Curry as a head coach, and most folks don't realize that Bill Curry was a guy that played for Bobby Dodd, the legendary Georgia Tech coach that the stadium's named after. Then you look at he goes from there to Vince Lombardi as a rookie on that team with a bunch of veterans, and then he
Oh
goes
my
to
God.
Don Shula right
Yes.
down in Baltimore. So when you look at it, you've had tutelage from a ton of coaches or whatnot that came from him. And then when you look at your second coach, Coach Gene Stallings or whatnot, who was a junction boy for Coach Bear Bryant back at Texas A&M, what was it like getting those lessons from these coaches that were groomed by legends? How did it help you get further in your collegiate career before you got to the league?
Well, just the preparation of the game and the knowledge of the game. Their wisdom, and that's that's what was one of the main components of it. And I want to put this out here and tell you, uh, one of the best head coaches or coach I ever had in my life is Gene Stallings, the best
Mm,
players coach I've ever been under. And I had the best defensive line coach in Mike Dubose. He was the craziest coach I've ever encountered. But he
Mhm.
pushed me to be the best. He pushed me like to limits that I didn't think I ever had. At playing defensive end, because I didn't come in as a defensive end. I came in as an outside linebacker at Alabama because I just have a funny story. Like when I was in high school, man, I never played stand up defensive end or stand up outside linebacker until my maybe my junior year in high school. So
Hmm.
I never played defensive end with my hands down in the grass. I've always was standing up as a strong safety, as a free safety, as a cornerback. I played all those skill positions. I didn't have played none of those positions until I got in college. So that changed my whole outlook on playing football.
Love it.
So go
Okay.
ahead.
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead, Graybeard.
No, I was just taking it all in. You said Gene Starling was the best coach you played under. What made him so great to play under in your tenure there at Alabama?
Huh. I think Gene let us be who we were. He didn't try to change us. You know, what you brought to the table and how you brought yourself as a young man and how he let you just be yourself.
Hmm.
And by being yourself, he let you, you know, go out there, players making plays. It's all about players making plays and freelancing and going out there and doing your thing. And, you're going to work your ass off. But instead, though, you still going to have some fun with it now. And he's going to push you. And he has some of the best assistant coaches around.
Mm-hmm.
And so by having the best assistant coaches around, that made his job just that much more easier. And he had a stern stick about himself. He ain't play none of this. If your GPA was low, you ain't playing. If you were late for curfew, I'm sorry, he gonna dog you. He gonna dog you. He gonna run you. He gonna discipline you. When you do great things, he gonna let you know that you were great. When you fail, he gonna let you know you failed. He was just straight up father figure that we needed. You know what I mean? He wasn't no sugarcoat anything.
Hmm.
And so
Right.
he will definitely be there for you. If you need to be, you know, if you got into a skirmish, with the Kappas or whatever, you got into a big fight. If you know that you didn't go in there starting the fight and you ended the fight, he gonna get you out.
I like it.
So
That's cold blooded that you threw Kappa, that you said Kappas up in there. That's cold blooded, sir.
I'm sorry,
That's
I'm sorry.
that's cold.
I ain't mean to step on no feet, but I'm saying,
You already
you
know
know,
who
Hey,
he is now.
I'm just messing with you. I'm not Greek, so but I got some family. I got some Kappas in the family. I got some Q's.
I
So
am
that's
Greek.
why I was kind of like, man, that's kind of cold blooded. But no, but I understand though. You know how that goes, kid. Teenagers gonna be teenagers even on campus. That's just how it goes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
But
it was a
when
big
you look
rivalry with
back
the Kappas and stuff. Big rivalry with the Kappas, and I was a Sigma, and so
Oh.
oh,
yeah,
so you my uncle's frat brother then, because my
yeah, I
uncle
was a
plays
Sigma.
Sigma.
You know,
I got a
yeah,
lot of them.
so
I got a lot of those as friends, and I got some in the family. So I can't say nothing bad about them.
yeah, man, but that's just how it was. But he was a great leader on and off the field. That was he took great pride in Alabama. So that's just who he is, and that's what he'll always be to me. And uh, so that's my greatest honor to him.
Hmm. When we talk about your Alabama career, you talk about you look at your Alabama career, and we talk about it or whatnot. You were a first team All American in 1992. You were a second team All American in 91. You were a lineman of the year in 1992, UPI, and then you were consensus national champ, and then you were also first team All SEC in 1992. What type of lessons got you to that point to where the accolades were there, but what was the competition like between you and John Copeland to be the best at that time? And how did you guys push each other to get to that standard?
Well, we had you know well, to put it out there, say the least. Okay, John was a, John had a two-way go. John played inside and he played out.
Mm-hmm.
He's more of the heavyweight guy. I was more or less of the lightweight guy on the outside. I rushed the passer with great impact. He went inside like a four-eye guy, and he rushed it. He had more power, and so he did more damage on the inside, and I did more damage on the outside. So we just converged together, and that's how we complemented each other. And we had people like Teague and Derek Olden and Lamansky Hall and Langham and Sam
Mm-hmm.
Shade, all those guys. All those guys were Tommy Johnson. Those guys were just hungry for the ball in practice and hungry for the ball in the game. Who's going to be the first one to the ball? It was just ugly. We was just we eat each other up in practice, man. And so that just fed off each other in the game, and so we wouldn't have it no other way. It's like some lions out there, man, trying to get to some raw meat.
Oh yeah.
And so we just learned how to gel with each other. We learned to you know live with the ups and downs, more of the ups, because we work so hard. About working hard, that deal. The dividends of working hard. So that's just a recipe for something good.
Iron
Mm-hmm.
sharpen iron.
Iron sharpen iron. That's what we were, though, brother.
And
Right.
Greg, I got one more. I'm gonna let you ask him this. So when you look at that pretty much that national championship season or whatnot, you talk about how iron sharpens iron. What got you guys to fight so hard to get to that point? And what was it like beating them nasty, stinking, filthy Florida Gators?
Oh
Can't
God.
stand them.
Say that one more time about Florida State.
No, I said about these sorry Gators that y'all whooped up on. See, I can't stand them because they're my rival. But what
Right.
was it like being able to be the first team to win the first SEC championship game by beating up on the University of Florida? How did you guys get to
Well,
that point, and what was the journey like through the season to get to the Natty?
I don't necessarily saying we thumped them or whatever. Because this was a hard robbery, man. This dude here was gunslinging, and it was a tough task, man, to take these guys out, man. Because I really played my best game against Florida because I was trying to do too much against the freshmen they had over there at the offensive tackle position.
Mm-hmm.
But we were trying to. It was cold as hell, man. It was like crazy. It was a different test for us because he was throwing the ball a lot to Willie Jackson, and the quarterback was getting the ball out in the flats to Eric Rett, and they was doing draws on us, and we were so hyped and trying to get to the I know I was trying to get to the quarterback
Mm-hmm.
that it kind of took away the game itself, until we just kind of settled down, and our defense coordinator was like, we need to, get our composure together, and let's just go back to the basics.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, that was that led to, Langham saying that the funny thing was, man, Langham, they were getting to us doing a little curl route,
Oh.
and Willie Jackson kept spotting up in the curl scene like 10 to 15 yards down the field that I can remember, and they was hitting us up with that, hitting us up with it. And we couldn't seem to get to the quarterback at the time, Matthews, and so I guess we drawed up a different defensive scheme, and so Langham came in the huddle. He said, "Eric," or he said, "EC, I'm gonna do something, man." He said, "I'm gonna sit on this ball, and I'm gonna disguise myself, and he's not gonna see what I'm doing." So what he did was he knew the play that was gonna run because there was a favorite play with Willie Jackson. So he got behind the guy and he kind of like settled behind one of the players. He kind of peeked down and you couldn't see Lango. I don't know what Matthews didn't see, but when he threw that ball, Lango popped up and jumped on that ball and intercepted and tucked it to the house. He said, I told you, see, I was going to get him. And that right there was a turning point right there. And from then on out, the favor was in our court. So we won the game, and we went on to play them old damn hurricane. You know that is hurricane.
The defending national champions that y'all played against.
Beat them like they stole them.
And respect to Mr. George Teague because Teague has a thing for wide receivers. We all remember the infamous hit that he put on Terrell Owens, but the one play that will always be in college championship lore would be the strip that he took from Lamar Thomas.
Yeah.
What was that game like playing against? You played against a tough Florida Gator team, and you knew that the Miami Hurricanes were a tough team that was coming back, that were the defending national champs. What motivated you guys in that ball game, and what gave you the extra gears to just get those boys that type of a fight that night?
Well, it was just, excuse me, Wayne, but it was just the bullshit talk that they had the whole time during the week. We were some old, we were like some bumpkins, country bumpkins coming from, Alabama, and, that we didn't have that type of prestige and hype which Miami had at the time. They did. They had the stick, and they had all the the guys that did all the high profile and the high stepping, and every time they catch a 3-yard out, they run down there for another 40 yards after they do that. So they were always, showboating and everything, and meet up out there in New Orleans, and there was chatter going on, walking behind us all the time and saying, we wasn't, I guess they thought they was going to intimidate us by their mouths or whatever, about what they did in the past, and that was the wrong thing to do, man. But come on, man, we got some knuckleheads on our team, but we really had some true guys on that team, man, that just did not want to hear that and wasn't going to take it. And, I can only do so much holding them back. And so it was one time, man, they just kind of like came up behind us, and I think it was their middle linebacker started talking a whole bunch of trash out there, and he
might be talking about not Jesse Armstead was the outside linebacker. That was
no, this is the middle linebacker.
I think that was Michael Barrow. I think that was Barrow that was the middle linebacker.
What's his name?
Barrow.
Nope. If you say his name, I don't know.
Man. You
got 56. I think, I should know this because he was a middle linebacker, and he just went to just ranting and talking, and so we had a couple guys on that team, man. You take him in the bar, and you can shut the door, and you could be 10 other guys ready to throw down. It could be just him, and we had 2 or 3 of those guys. They want to take those guys out, and we had a couple of guys on our team, man. You did not want to tangle up with these cats, and that's the wrong guy heard this conversation, and he backed him down. He said, "Hey, man, I don't think you want to go there. Yeah. You don't need to go there, and we're gonna keep it like that because somebody's gonna get hurt on this squad right here."
It was Michael Barrow. I was right on that one. It was Michael Barrow who was the middle linebacker.
He was one of them. He was one of them. It was somebody else too. But Michael Barrow didn't talk that much though. He did not to us. He did. He was cool with us. It was the other guy that was talking all the smack, and so that's what got them in trouble. Was the other guy talking on the smack? But we found, but that was no problem because we made up fast. We made up real fast. Mm-hmm. Those guys, he finally realized that these guys are pretty vicious and crazy. So I think we need to back down because you know they ain't want none of this right here. Not none of this smoke. Nah. And so that got us all fired up before the game, man. So we was all hyped up. And so, but all the rumors how we was not going to play up to our potentials against this powerhouse, and that led up to, man, we just exploded, bro. We hit that field, we just exploded. And that was it, brother.
Mm.
That's all you
Very
could.
big.
That's all you could. I was so focused, I didn't hear nothing until the fourth quarter. I didn't hear nothing.
That almost remind me when I remember Alabama played UFE, and UFE would just had the chain around their neck. They thought they were gonna be down, like then they got beat like 59-0. I'm like, yeah, y'all, I think y'all should have been a little bit more humbled in that game. But
Yeah.
when you got drafted to the NFL, and when you got to Tampa Bay, you got I think your head coach at the time was John White,
Sam
but you
White,
got
yeah.
yeah, but you got to play with Hardy Nickerson.
Yes.
I don't think people understand how good Hardy Nickerson was, and he was nothing but and I think he was Rookie of the Year that year. How was it like playing with him and DeBogue and everybody else on that team?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Hardy got there maybe like my third year there. Sap got there maybe like my second or third year. Something. Sap got there like second or third year also. Um, Derek Brooks, John Lynch, um, Warwick Dunn. I mean, we had a squad, bro. I mean, we had a squad. We just didn't have all of the pieces to be glued and put together with the coaching and everything. All of us, you know, it eventually came together when Tony Dungy got there. But Hardy Nickerson was one of the craziest linebackers I ever encountered. He was a fool, man. This dude was like, I never seen him work so hard in the weight room, work so hard on the football field. I knew every snap that they would run, he would know it. Ain't gonna play 100% all out every snap. I ain't lying to you. His walkthrough, he was crazy. When he when he practiced, he was all out. In the game, he was ferocious. I mean, I've never seen him out like that in my life, but that's how he was reeled up, man. And to this day, you never know. If you might see, he might headbutt you. I don't know. He's just freaking crazy. Well
Man,
respected. Well respected dude.
it's crazy to sit back and think about that, man. But wait, and you spoke on Hardy Nickerson, and he eventually went to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then you said you saw Warren Sapp come in, you watched Lynch come in, you watched
Me and Lynch
Derek
came in at the
Brooks
same
come
time.
in. When you were with these guys in Tampa, what was it like being in that locker room and you're seeing guys that are coming in and eventually they become Hall of Famers? What was it like playing in that locker room when Tony Dungy started to put this defense together, before you ended up leaving to go to Green Bay and Jacksonville? What was it like with that transition?
Well, first of all, I wish I could have been there for another 2 years because after I left, then they won the world championship. So, uh,
Yeah,
but just to see us grow and groom, uh, you can see the potential coming through these guys in practice and stuff. You can see it happening. With Derek Brooks and uh, another guy, one that's crazy as Hardy, but I ain't never seen nobody like him and Hardy just try to make every play on the football. I mean, every single play they want to make it. I mean, Derek he was just wiggle worm himself to a, you can have three people that's on him, and he'll find a way to get underneath them and just go make a tackle.
Mm.
And he was another guy that was very cerebral. He was smart about the game. And Lynch was a hard hitter. Lynch was just.
Lynch was, as Bill Walsh described him when he recruited him. Lynch, he told John Lynch, because Lynch was a quarterback at one point. He said he watched him, hit a guy, and he looked at him. He said, "You could be another Ronnie Lott." And he took that to heart. And then you remember, Lynch pretty much was the white Ronnie Lott. I don't care what
Yeah,
nobody say. I've seen him hit guys, and I actually got to watch him, going to Falcon games or whatnot. I remember seeing him hit TJ Duckett and
Oh,
just straight up square him up. And TJ Duckett's 240, 250, and they could
yeah,
run, and he
yeah,
just squared him up and just took him out. What
yeah.
was it like when you saw the drive? Because we all know the stigma that comes with a lot of people when they say they have a lot of negative connotations to say about white defensive backs or whatnot. But when he was there, how did he gain that type of respect from that locker room and people knew that he was one that you didn't cross?
Well, I'll put it to you this right here. He gained that on the football field in practice. He was taking brothers out in practice, man. I mean, he had on no pads at all. Only thing he had was just tape. And he just come hit you with his. And what you don't understand is he had a big old noggin. He had a big noggin, man, and he just was nasty. For a white boy, he was just grueling.
Mm.
Him and big our fullback,
Mike
all
Allscott.
stop.
Mike Allstott.
That's a
Oh
guy
my
I'll never
God,
forget.
I
Mike
never want to
Allstott
tackle
was
him.
like a rhinoceros, bro. He was mean in practice too, but he did not care, man. He had them big old shoulder pads on, man. And man, he was just beast.
Yeah,
And sometimes we went uno against uno, ones against ones, and All Star had to be over there, and we had to go there. We had to tackle All Star, and that made us better right there. That was hard in itself. It's like,
Hey,
who wants to
I,
go up against this dude? He's 250 pounds.
I know I know, but tell the truth, on Sundays, even though y'all were competing to win, tell the truth. I know you felt bad for some of those defensive players that had to tackle you. I know you
I
had to
felt
have a shred of that.
I felt so sorry for players that had to tackle him in practice, including myself, and I just felt sorry for the air because he was something special, man, and it was almost like a Barry Sanders, except that he wasn't gonna avoid you. He went straight to you. He gonna run you over. He ain't gonna try to avoid you. He gonna try to straight line you and go through you. And so he was, I'm talking about offensive players now, but he was legit. Lynch was. I mean, Lynch was just, and you see him on the football field, it's like just easy going. Hey, how you doing? And let's go out to dinner, and you know, good seeing you,
He
man. That
were,
gentleman dude.
were you on the field when he hit his brother-in-law?
Who's his brother-in-law?
He was a tight end for the Chicago Bears. They all talked about it. And his sister's married. His sister was married to a tight end from Chicago, and they let him out too far, and Lynch just ran right through him. And that was when you guys were still in the NFC. That was when you guys were still in the NFC Central before you guys got to the NFC South.
What's the name?
Oh, don't make me lie. They never tell his name, but they always show the clip, and they say they always say that was his brother-in-law. It's he's a tight end or whatnot.
I know Lynch.
John Alred, that's his name. John Alred.
He didn't. I don't know. He did not care. If you had the other color uniform on, you was in trouble. It's gonna hurt.
And think about it, that was his brother-in-law that he laid out like that. That's why I'm laughing.
family ain't safe. Family
Oh
ain't
my God.
safe.
I don't think I hear him say, "Come on, Curry! Come on, Curry!" I always say that, man. It's always this. These dudes don't stop over here, man. These guys crazy.
So you go to Green Bay, you're on a practice squad, you end up leaving there. You go to another franchise that is in the state of Florida, and they're literally everybody knew that Jacksonville was coming from 1996 all the way really to the early 2000s. Jacksonville had a stick. What was that like getting to leaving Tampa, knowing what that defense was like, and coming over to Tom Coughlin and knowing it was a no-nonsense situation, but you played with Hardy Nickerson again, Marcus Stroud, Georgia boy, by the way, UGA legend. You talk about
No, I never did play with Marcus. I didn't play with Marcus.
what's my name? Donovan Darius. I mean, all those players that you
I played with him. Played with Gary. Tony Bracken.
Tony Bracken. That's his name. Tony Bracken.
All those
Jeff
guys,
Logman.
Man.
Did Jeff Logman retire before you got there?
Yeah.
Or was he on? Okay.
Because
I know he was around at that time.
Yeah, I put him to take his place. Him and another guy there. Yeah, but that transition was it's kind of like it was a slight upgrade for us with the skill part of it. You know what I mean? Because you had people at skill positions all over the place. You know, these guys were, because they were coached by a well-disciplinarian of the world, which was Tom. And Tom knew what he wanted. Tom knew what it took to get it. And we had one of the best. I say that should be in the Hall of Fame, Fred Taylor.
Oh man,
one of the best running backs there.
Even though you're from Florida,
right? Jimmy,
Freddie T,
Keenan McCardell.
Yeah.
Jimmy Smith, Jackson State's own.
Oh yeah. Mara Brunell, Tony Baselli,
David Garrard.
Garrard came later.
He came later.
He played with Brunell. Because what was the dude's name? Rob Johnson came in after Brunell had messed up his knee, and he played for a little bit before he went to Buffalo. So you played. Wait a minute, did you get to play with little big man James Stewart?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Oh yeah. James was a little train. He still look like a train today. If you see him today, you say, "Man, you still playing football?" He still kind of looks the same, man.
So you guys get to, and I'm gonna let Gray Big get the next one after this one. But you come into a situation where Jacksonville had momentum from '96, pretty much. You might as well say to really about 2004, my high school years. But you guys had one of the best teams in the league, and then you run up against the Tennessee Titans in 1999. You got to bring it up, man. What? The same. Look, I'm sorry to bring that up, but we got to talk a little bit about it because you know what? You did hurt my feelings yesterday talking about that 2nd and 26 that y'all beat us on in the national championship game. That hurt my feelings. But so it's a little bit of get back right here. I can twirl the needle a little bit, but not to twirl the needle. But honestly though, that team that you guys had played Tennessee 3 times that year, 2 times in the division and once in the playoffs. What was it about the Titans that y'all just couldn't figure out?
Good question, man. I just think they had our number, man. It's just he just sure. So he just made the right coaching calls when it was needed to be called, and hold on, I'm sorry. Hold on, guys. Hold on.
Take your time, sir.
Yeah, I don't particularly know what they just did. They didn't have no better athletes than we did. It was just, I don't know. They felt like, since they had beat us on several occasions, they had the upper hand on us or something. I think, in which they probably did psychologically. I think they probably thought they did, but I don't know, man. I just could never put my hands on it to this day. But
And I felt bad for you because see, I got to watch. I had to watch you guys chase Steve McNair down and then have to tackle that dude. What was that like playing against Steve McNair and Eddie George offensively?
Oh man, Eddie
I
George.
put it to you like right here. I didn't mind tackling Eddie George, but tackling Steve McNair running at the same time, it's almost like trying to tackle a wall. It's like, man, you know how hard that is, man. This dude is like steel. You just strong minded and just strong, bro. I mean, you know.
Strahan told the story. Strahan told the story about it when because Strahan started playing ball late at Texas Southern, and Texas Southern and Alcorn State played. He said it was a defensive end playing quarterback. He said that was how he described
There
it.
you go. That's it. That's it.
Dang.
Oh
So
man,
he was that. So I didn't get to see him up close. God rest his soul. I watched him from the stands. How big was he up close? Like, and this is just something I've always wondered. And you were in the trenches and you got to see this dude up close.
it was like it's almost like looking at Fred Taylor when he was, when he would take off his shirt and, kind of like sprawl around the locker room, whatever, man. It's like, hey, Fred, no, he was that big, dude. He's like a freaking outside linebacker. You're like an inside linebacker. That's how McNair looked, man. He looked like a big neck freaking Ray Lewis or something, man. He was just tenacious and just mean, bro. It's like he always had something to prove or something. You know what I mean?
Okay.
He was just nasty.
Man, you get a big neck.
Oh, he had a big old neck, big wide back. I mean, he just was country, man. Just old country strong dude.
Oh,
but
yeah,
but you know what? It's something about them boys that come up out of Mississippi. They just different.
Oh,
they
man.
different.
You ain't lying.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm gonna start walking, so I'm sorry. I'm getting out.
No, you're okay.
You're fine.
So.
My question is, what do you have a memorable game that you just be like, I can't believe that just happened, or a player that you just like, God, I gotta play against this guy, or
man, I'm gonna tell you something, brother. The game that I was looked up at this dude, man, I was like, man, what the hell I got myself into was big boy that played for the Ravens, the big offensive tackle, Jonathan Ogden.
Oh,
oh my God, dude! I'm like, this is not even right. This is not even cool. I mean, to at least to say, I couldn't even see over this dude. I'm 6'7", 6'8", with my pads on. This dude here about 6'11", look like it. He's a mountain, and you couldn't even get around him. You don't smile. You don't say nothing. He just, he just goes about his business and he just works you, and.
Who was your favorite teammate in college, and then who was your favorite teammate when you were in the pros?
My favorite teammate in college? I had a lot of them. I mean, I like when all of my favorite players I played with in college was my roommates, which was John Copeland, Mark McMillan. Those guys were some of my favorite guys I liked. Quite a bit, of course I loved all those guys, we always got along. And in the league, I like my boy Marshall Falk, man. Marshall Falk was crazy, man. Marshall Falk was crazy. And my boy the Bus. I like
Jerome
Benny.
Yeah, man, that's one of those are my favorite guys, man. I like those guys.
Okay. That's definitely amazing. So we definitely appreciate you sharing some memories with us and definitely coming in and taking time to talk about your days at Alabama, Thomasville, Georgia, and your NFL career. Also, like I said again at the beginning of the program, I'm gonna say it again while you're here. College football. You guys need to go ahead and do this man and Mr. John Copeland a service because they've waited long enough. It's been over 30 years. Put these guys in the Hall of Fame. When you talk about some of the greatest defenses that were around, that 92 Alabama team gets forgotten. And they beat a top team in Miami.
Beat them.
Get these in the Hall of Fame, please, because that's one of the greatest defenses that get forgotten. Alabama football did not just start with the Saban era. Didn't start just with the Bear Bryant era.
That's right.
Damn it, that 92 team, they got a little something to say. That's one of the best defenses in college that gets forgotten about. So put some respect on these guys. Put these two in the Hall of Fame and some of their other teammates who definitely earned a chance to have an opportunity to be put in the Hall. But John Copeland and Mr. Eric Curry, you got to do the right thing. Two bookends. They came right after Biscuit, Cornelius Bennett, and came after Derek Thomas. And there was no drop-off. No drop-off.
Right. There you go. There you go.
So please do the right thing. We're going to push it just like we push our guys. And speaking of that, shout out to Mr. Arnold Walker, one of our Birdcage alum, who is one of the top 5. Well, he's number 6 now on the list, but he's one of the top 10 players in Alcorn State's history. And we were just talking about Steve McNair.
Yes.
Arnold Walker just got into the Alcorn State Hall of Fame. So shout out to our guy, Arnold Walker. Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
So now it's time to get Mr. Eric Curry and John Copeland in the College Football Hall of Fame. That's what we're gonna try to push the agenda for. So we definitely got you, Mr. Curry. We thank you for coming through. I'll be in touch with you because, as I said before, I got some merchandise for you that I'll be passing to you.
Okay.
Some posters that we'll be passing out to you or whatnot, and we definitely are gonna touch bases. So if there are any shout outs you want to give, go right ahead, or any kind of plugs you want, the floor is yours.
I want to say praise God from all whom blessings flow. That's what I want to say.
Amen.
I want to say God bless. Appreciate you guys, and say hello to the Christmas Tide family. And you know what I'm saying?
House of Crimson, he gave y'all a shout out. Now y'all can leave me the hell alone. I'm still gonna talk trash, but y'all can leave me the hell alone. So he gave you a shout out at the end of the show, and I gave you one at the beginning. So you can't say a Bulldog ain't did nothing nice for you. I'm still waiting for when y'all get between the hedges.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to go to that game.
We should show up again. So I'm not going. The hedges is a hard place to play it though, but we're gonna show up again. We will.
Listen, your quarterback is finally gonna go on the road in a hostile environment. We'll see. Ty Simpson look good.
Yeah, he do.
In the spring, I can't be frank. Look good from some of the clips that I saw. And you guys' offense with Ryan Grubb is gonna be good. But don't think that Kirby don't have nothing up his sleeve neither.
Oh, it always got something up his sleeve. That's a Bainbridge boy. Bainbridge Georgia guy right there. I know he does. I played against some boys, so I know he does.
Yeah, see, soon as you said Bainbridge or whatever, I couldn't do nothing but laugh because we already knew what it was gonna be. Y'all still got a rivalry with them boys.
Oh, still do, brother. Still do. Oh my God, put your helmet on the field, and put your helmet on off the field too, because it's gonna be rough. That's right.
Shout out to Coach Kirby. You got to give us a dub this year, baby, versus Bama. Hey, it's been too long. National championship, that's done wore off now. We need one because they ended our three-peat, so we owe them right now.
Okay. We'll see about that then. We'll see about that.
Let's go.
See, you know what? See, we'll be done did a live stream on here with you, Mr. Copeland. We'll have trash talking and everything else going.
Hey, we can do it. We can do it, man. No problem, brother.
We might, you know what? We might do a special Birdcage edition to set that up or whatnot. So we can have these guys in here during that game or whatnot. So,
man, you ain't ready for that.
It's all good. Hey,
Yes,
thanks
sir.
for coming through, Mr. Curry. I'm gonna definitely hit you up this
It's an
weekend so
honor,
we can
sir.
set that stuff up. It was an honor talking to you, SEC legend, Mr. Eric Curry, ladies and
Thank you,
gentlemen.
guys, man. Enjoy it, brother. Y'all take care.
You
Yes,
too, sir.
sir.
Hey,
Man, I
now that
enjoyed that.
he's Hey, Island Mike, I see you in the chat, baby.
What's going
Listen,
on?
I had to make sure. You know what? If you do the show on rewatch, you might be a little upset because he was talking about your Miami Hurricanes that he beat in the national
Ooh,
championship. But he said it was some stuff that went along with it. So again, man, you got to definitely catch the rewatch if you didn't catch it now.
yeah, I
So
don't think you want to watch that part.
man, I had fun with him, man. A
Oh
little trash
man,
talk at the end.
man, I love it, man. Football, hey man, football going on here, man. 98 days even count. Let's go.
Hey man, look at it like this here. I'm at that point where it's just we got to get it done. But shout
Gotta
out
get
to
it
Mr.
done.
Curry once again. Also, we got to give a shout out to Coach Terry McGriff as well. So again, Coach McGriff was one of our Birdcage alum. He was able to help us set this up. So thank you,
Appreciate
Coach McGriff, again. Y'all also got to check out a few things that's going to be coming along. He's going to have some products for college football and high school football and also baseball. So we'll make sure we get that plug to a Militech. Shout out to a Militech who Coach McGriff is doing some big things with the whatnot. So, Coach, do your thing. But for us, we're going to go ahead and slide on up out of here, man. Definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in. We're going to have some Falcon talk coming up maybe this weekend or whatnot. Got some pop-up shows because OTAs are starting, training camp is getting ready to start, and it's a lot of great buzz going on with the Birds right now.
About time.
Hey man, like we say, man, look, before you get up out of here, y'all hit that like and subscribe button. It's free 99. Please check it. Please check it out. It doesn't hurt. It takes 2 seconds. So as we say up in here, man, you either get right or you get left. We'll catch you next time on the next show with the Birdcage LLC. And shout out to the magnificent Birdcage crew for holding the damn thing down in the back. Appreciate you guys. Love y'all. Ghosts. Birdcage.